Good morning, everybody. Thanks for attending. Before we jump into the workflow, I wanted to do, a little bit of housekeeping on the changes that have been going on in BIM 360 Docs, Autodesk Docs, Construction Cloud, that you may or may not have heard of in the last several months. So many of you are probably familiar with BIM 360 Docs, but many people have not heard about Autodesk Docs yet, or if you have it, you may have noticed that it changed in your Autodesk account. So I thought I'd just go over a little bit about what the differences are and what the Autodesk Construction Cloud is that we hear so much about these days as well. So both BIM 360 Docs as well as Autodesk Docs are both part of the Autodesk Construction Cloud. The primary reason for the addition of Autodesk Docs is the ability to fully integrate the products that Autodesk has purchased over this last year or so. Although the products that they purchased already integrated with BIM 360, they didn't do it seamlessly. There was some downloading and uploading and reconnecting. So with the Autodesk Construction Cloud and the addition of Autodesk Docs, they're looking at having that fully integrated. Autodesk is currently working on that integration so that it will all fall under the Autodesk Construction Cloud. And if you're a current BIM 360 user, you may have already noticed some changes in the user interface as it becomes more in line with Autodesk Docs. Once all the new products are fully integrated, Autodesk plans to provide a tool for users to migrate their BIM 360 projects into the Autodesk Docs platform. We've been told at this time that there's no plans to retire BIM 360, and it's continuing to be developed. There's several products that are available under the Autodesk Construction Cloud umbrella. These are the Autodesk Cloud offerings that we'll be taking a look at today as we explore the workflow between them. Again, the names have changed a little bit from last year to this year. However, they're basically the same products. For those who've had BIM 360 Design before, that now have BIM Collaborate Pro, you've got the benefit of also having the BIM Collaborate available to you as well. So the three products that you see here are intended for design and pre-construction industries. We use these tools to connect teams and workflows on a unified platform, either BIM 360 Docs or Autodesk Docs. Each product integrates with the other and leverages the information on that unified platform, either BIM 360 Docs or Autodesk Docs. Which unified platform your project will use will be determined by your project admin when that project is created. So I thought before we jumped into the workflow, I'd take a closer look at the modules for those that might not be familiar with them and what's included with each one of them. So we're going to focus on the workflow of the four modules that most project members will have access to in BIM Collaboration Pro. For this presentation, I'll use a project that was set up in BIM 360 Docs as the common data environment. I chose for this presentation to stay with BIM 360 Docs because most of our customers currently have their projects on BIM 360 still. However, I'll give you a peek at the similarities and differences between BIM 360 Docs and Autodesk Docs before we get started. So the BIM 360 Docs and Autodesk Docs are the repositories for your project's cloud-based files or a common data exchange point. But as a common data exchange point, it becomes the single source of truth for all your project documents. This eliminates versions of files on multiple servers, hard drives, multiple cloud storage devices. With the automatic versioning, we can trust that the documents being viewed are the latest and the most current set. Project members can share, view, mark up, and manage project drawings, documents, and models, allowing easy yet controlled transfer of information between project members. So here you can see the differences between BIM 360 Docs and Autodesk Docs. There are two main differences when navigating in BIM 360 Docs and Autodesk Docs. BIM 360 Docs has the dark blue banner at the top, and BIM 360 Docs has tabs placed horizontally underneath the blue banner, whereas our Autodesk Docs, those same tabs and controls are off to the left-hand side. Where you access your modules and where you select the projects remain the same in both applications. There are other minor differences, like some of the icons are a slightly different symbol than we might see in the other products. So as we can see here, document management is a slightly different symbol than Docs, but it's still spelled out what it is. We've moved away from the project home and a separate insight module to a kind of a combined module here in Autodesk Docs. So the insight module in Autodesk Docs and the project home module in BIM 360 Docs are going to be your landing page when you select a project as a project member. The project home and insight pages aggregate project data across the entire project, allowing you to quickly see what's going on in your project. You can customize this landing page to meet your needs, allowing you to quickly see any issues that are assigned to you or if your team or to your team, and then you can quickly share that information. Each one of these little icons in here are all links. So if you wanted to take a look at a particular issue, you can simply click on that and it would take you to that issue so that you can take a closer look at what is going on. In this particular situation here, you can see these are project issues. So as a project admin, I can see issues for the entire project. Whereas if I was just a project member, I might just see my issues or maybe my team's issues. So these can be customized depending on what your role is and what you need to see to quickly get into Docs and navigate where you need to go. Model coordination. For those of you that had BIM 360 design, this is a new offering that's included into your BIM, into your Collaborate Pro. Model coordination provides a coordination space to upload, review, and detect clashes automatically between your latest set of project models. So if any of you have worked with Navisworks, how it does clash detection, this is a kind of a simplified version of that. It'll automatically check those clashes. As of yesterday, I believe it was, they added in some additional features where we can do a offset or a buffer. So we'll take a look at that just briefly too. Classes are organized so that the designated project members can create and assign issues to other project members. And they can assign those issues so that they can be further evaluated in the application in which, you know, that model came from. And then design collaboration module allows you to collaborate on the model. So for our Revit and our Civil 3D and our Plant 3D folks, this allows us to have our model in the cloud and work as a team on that model. The teams could be from a dispersed staff of one company, or it can be a multi-firm project. A design collaboration provides a kind of a managed process of data exchange between teams. Sometimes they need to be constantly in sync, while in other cases they need to control the exchange of that information between each other. Each project requires a unique approach, so design collaboration allows teams to choose how they work with those other teams. Let's take a look at the workflow of each of these modules and how they integrate with each other. I'm going to pop over here to our BIM 360. And let's just take a quick look here at the insight, or my dashboard in this case. If I was in Autodesk Docs, it would be Insight. So here on my dashboard, I can quickly see what are the latest design packages that have been published. And then I know when they were last updated, so I can see here that my architectural model has been shared several times, most recently on the 11th. I can also see that there's a design issue that's been assigned to me. Let's change this to my design issues. How's that? So there's my design issues, and that issue's been assigned to me. You can rearrange these cards. You can add cards. Up here on the right-hand side is a customized tab, and we can rearrange these. If I want to see my issues at the top, I can do that if I want to. So you can rearrange these however you want. You can also look in the card library and bring in additional cards. There's additional cards that are provided by Autodesk here, and then there's other cards that will link to other applications. So if you're using another application, you want to link directly into it, you can do that. Power BI is in here somewhere. I know that's a requested one quite often. So you can take a look at that. There's some filters. If you want to filter through instead of scrolling through everything, you can. You'll notice that some of these say in use, so it's already been added in, but the ones that still have the little box that you can check, you can add these in as needed. There's one here, it says project design. This one you can customize. You can put whatever you want to report in here. I have one set up where I can see all my transmittals, so you can just add the transmittal link in there. When you're done, you can go ahead and just say save, and it will update your dashboard for you. Let's roll over to Docs. Whoops. Well, signed me out. Let's sign in real quick here. Bear with me 1 second. Get this set up so that we're ready to go as we continue on. All right, so here's our document management tab. Now you can switch tabs or your modules by selecting your drop down here for document management. Over on Insight, I can do the same thing. I went ahead and created separate tabs just so it's a little bit easier to navigate between those. You can use it either way. So here under my document management, by default, I'm on my folders tab here, and I can see the different folders that have been created by the project admin. First and foremost, if you're going to be working with the BIM Collaborate, with the design collaboration, you'll want to have your files stored under the project files. Up above, this workflow up here is used for the construction module. This is used for the design module. So your project admin will have some folders set up depending on your role in the project. You may have access to 1 or 2 folders. You may have access to a single folder and the subfolders below that. Depending on your role, you may be given permissions to create subfolders for your team. Or you may simply just be someone who has access to view and upload. There's a variety of different permissions and roles that can be set up in Docs that the project admin will administer. So you'll see here, this particular project has been set up with teams by discipline. However, they can set that up however they want. This folder structure starts off with just a lead folder called Project Files. Depending on how your project organizes their folders, that's completely up to them. There's no restrictions on how you order those. I've seen some people that'll do a 01, 02 with a name. In this case, I kept it pretty simple. So within this architectural folder, I can have subfolders, and you'll see in here, this is not the project I wanted. Close me out 1 second. Let me open up the one we need for this. So here under my Arch folder, you can see I've got a Revit model that has been uploaded in Work Shared. I also have a subfolder for project documents. I've got some Autocad files that were published out from Autocad or exported out from Revit into Autocad, some sheets as well. For those that maybe aren't in Revit yet, that just need to view a sheet or print a sheet, or just need an Autocad file as reference. So we take a look at the other files here. You can see I've got an electrical file that's been uploaded as well. You'll see that the versions are being tracked. I can see when it was last updated. And same thing back here on my architectural model. I can see which version I'm in, when it was last updated. Off to the right, I can also see if there's any markups or issues associated with that file. So my architectural file here has an issue that needs to be identified and taken care of in there. The columns that you have here and the information provided to you can be managed here with this little symbol here. You can turn on and off particular columns if you don't want them or don't use them. There's a few other tabs at the top. If your list of files is very long, there is a filter. We can also, if you've gone in and deleted something, nothing's ever deleted completely. You can go back and look at deleted items and restore those as needed. Okay. Versions in here can also be restored for files. It doesn't matter if it's a Revit file or a Word file. They can be restored as needed. All right, let's take a look at our Autocad file that we have in here. And we can see here that in the viewer, when I selected on it, it automatically opens up the viewer. In this case, since it's an Autocad file, I have my layout in my model space. If it was a 3D model, I could have 3D views as well. We'll take a look at that when we look at a Revit model a little bit later on. So in here, I can come in and navigate around here. I can pan. If I was to zoom in and I wanted to use a window or zoom in and out with the control here, I can do that as well. But of course, you know, your mouse will work just fine as well. So please allow the wheel controls to zoom to fit. Okay. So this isn't necessary, but you can use it if you wanted to do a window. But you can just use it to zoom and pan just by zooming in and out. We can measure. If we want to do a measure, I can measure from point to point. If the dimensions are not what you're expecting, there is a measure settings that we can go in and modify that. And then we can see that in feet and inches. If we hit done, that dimension goes away. But if we wanted to redline something, we do have a dimension in our redline that would make it a part of that redline. Okay. So as I look at this model or this sheet here, I can see that my north arrow is kind of tucked down in the middle of the drawing. I'm going to put a quick markup on this just to remind myself that this north arrow needs to be moved. Okay. Now I can change the color. I can fill that in. If I want to delete it, I can delete that out as well. Up at the top here, on this red line, this markup has not yet been saved, so I want to save the markup. I can either make this keep this markup as private, or I can make it public. Right now it's private. I'm the only one that can see the markup. So if this is a note for myself, this would be fine. If I want this to be something that we're going to look at in the coordination meetings, I might want to publish that so other team members can see it as well. So I'm just going to save that markup. And now if I come over here to my markups, you'll see it's made a note of that. I could also add attachments. If this was something that had to do with equipment, I could add an attachment for that documentation on that equipment. The only thing is that the information that you're attaching does need to be uploaded into the cloud before you can attach it. So if we close this out, this viewer out, and I come back over here, you'll now see that it notes that I have a markup on this sheet. If I pick on it again and open it up, I can quickly get back to where that markup is. If I click on it, it will zoom in and show me where that markup is. So notice down here, we also have a couple of little symbols. This allows us to hide markups and hide issues. So if we wanted to take a look at this without the markup on it, we can simply hide that. It maintains the markup, but hides it from view. Okay. If we wanted to print that with the markup, we could do that as well. I wanted to show you one more thing in here while we're in here. The other thing we can take a look at too is a compare feature. This will allow us to compare versions. So if I want to compare the last two versions of layout 1, you could change it to just the 2D model as well. I could say compare, and now it overlays the two versions. So if I zoom in here, I can see that I've made some changes to the text for these exam rooms. If I wanted to see what the current version was, I can turn off the previous version and I can see that they're all lined up. All the room names are lined up nice and neat now. If I turn that off, I could then take a look at where they were before, and I can see that we had some misaligned rooms. So it's like, okay, if I want to exit that compare, I can just simply exit that. You do have another option. It's a little hard to see in this one, but it is a side-by-side. And so there's a little scroll bar here that as I move across, it will adjust and show me from one version to the other. So with this yellow, it's a little hard to see. So in this case, the overlay is a much better choice. I can exit my compare, takes me back to just viewing the different layouts. And if I needed to create an issue or a cloud, I can do that. Let's go back over to our markup for just a second. And maybe I decide, you know, hey, I've got some meetings. I'm really not going to have time to work on this. I'm going to go ahead and put a push pin on this and create an issue, and I'm going to assign it to another user. So up here, I can go to my issues. I've got an option to create an issue. I don't currently have any. And I'm just going to put a push pin right there in by the north arrow. And we'll give this what type of an issue is. Let's say it's a design issue, work to complete. It's open. I'm going to title, and I'm just going to say move our north arrow. And then I can assign it to an individual, either in my team or by individual in my team. I can give it a due date. I'd like to have that done by the end of tomorrow. Who owns it? If I want to assign a root cause, I can as well. And we'll just say maybe the documentation is incomplete. I'm just reiterating here, please. Go ahead and we'll create that. That's fine. Now this will automatically send an email to Brett, who I assign this to. He will receive the email with a link in it that will take him directly to this to review. And then he can open it up in Autocad. And we'll do that. Instead of having Brett do it, we'll do it, and then we can go back and take a look at it. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll close that out. All right, so let's go ahead and let's go to Autocad. And let's take a look at how we open up those files when they're in the cloud and make those types of changes. So here you can see I've got two different symbols. Here's my A101, which is the one that we were looking at in BIM 360, and it has a little cloud symbol. I can also see here by hovering over it, its path. So it's in BIM 360 Docs, and it is my quick start for project. And that's the file, that's the project that I was working in. Whereas this one up here, you'll see it just shows a little monitor. Basically, it's letting me know that's on my local drive still. We can also go here to Autodesk Docs on the left-hand side, and we can navigate to the project that we want. So if it wasn't in our recent folder and we needed to go to a different project, we could navigate down through the project list and open up the project that we want to access. These are the projects for this particular hub. So this is our hub. If you are working with a different company who's hosting the project, then you can say change account and go to a different hub. So this is our Autodesk Docs account, and these are the projects on that hub. So I'm going to go back to this one, and we'll scroll back down to our project 4. Where'd it go? There it is. And here we can see that I have that file. Now in there, we have our project files. So these are the folders that we saw in Docs. And then you can navigate down to the folder of the file that you want to open. So if you've recently used it, you can go to Recent Docs. If it's something that you're going to open up for the first time, you can go to Autodesk Docs and navigate to that project in the subfolder. Now you'll only be able to see the folders or access the folders that you have permissions to. So if you can see the folder but you cannot access anything in it, get with your project admin. You don't have sufficient permissions to open the file, probably only to view. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And we'll just quickly come in and let's go to our layout here. And let's just grab that north arrow real quickly. And we'll move him up. That's the area that we want. That's good for this. Now, before I save this and get out of it, I want to pop back over to our BIM 360 and show you that since we have that file open and we're working on it, there's a little padlock on it. And by hovering over it, it lets me know who is working on that file and at what time they open that file up. I can come in and edit that file while I have it open. So I'll go ahead and save this. And I'll go ahead and close that file out. Okay, it'll take it a minute, but it'll refresh up there. So you'll see right now it's locked. Once BIM 360 refreshes and updates, then that lock will be released. While we're waiting for that, let me come over here and let's open up our local sheet that's on our C drive here, and talk about how do we get these AutoCAD drawings up into the cloud in the first place. So Autodesk has put in recently a Collaborate tab that allows you to push your documents directly up to BIM 360 or Autodesk Docs. So if I click on this, I can come in and I can select what folder I want to place that in. I'll go to Select Folder. And you'll see here it says something other than my Hagerman account. So I need to drop down and take a look at the different projects that I have available. So here's my project. I want to put it in my Arch folder. I'll expand that out, go to my project docs, expand that out, and then I can upload that sheet. So it'll take it a few seconds to process, pop back over here. And you'll see that it's updating our drawing that we worked on, which is version 5, and now it's uploading our second floor at version 1. So it's automatically versioning what we change in AutoCAD, and here we've pushed it up to the cloud. Okay. Oh, I published that one instead of uploading it. I might have to come back to this one. Okay. So we can push that up there the same way. I just should have picked the model space as well. All right, so we'll say done there. And close that out. Let's come back over to our sheet here. I'm going to minimize this. All right, let's come back. Refresh this. And take a look at how we can also upload files in other ways. So here you'll see we have upload files. If we don't have any links, we can simply drag that file into BIM 360 Docs to the folder we need. If it has links, then you can select Upload Linked Files, and then you'll select the parent and then the linked files that are associated to it. So you can also do it that way as well. And if we have something like a PDF, we can just drag and drop it as well. If you have drawings that do not have linked files, you can also drag and drop them as well. You just don't want to do it with a linked file. So since I didn't grab the main model, I'll go ahead and grab that one, and then let's grab we'll grab this one as well. So we can drag it over and pop that in there. If we had a PDF, we could drag it over and place that as well. So either one of those workflows for the dragging and dropping will work. The only cautionary note would be is if you are working with files that already have links. You'd want to make sure you use this option instead. So while we're in here, let's take a look as well some of the other tools that are available. So we have what we call issues. Those are the issues we just created a minute ago. It can see all of the issues for all of the different files that I have in here. So now they're listed by number instead of by drawing. So this is the last one that we worked with. If I click on this issue, I can see who it was assigned to and get specifics about that file. I can also look at the activity. Okay. So this is so any of these we pick on will show us more detail on that particular file. Now, if I want to take a look at the file itself, I can pick on the drawing name. And so here's my issue, and here's my cloud. Because that issue has now been resolved, I can go to open, and I can go ahead and say that it's closed. If Brett had answered me and said, I'll get to it this afternoon, he could have put answered. In this case, I'll go ahead and close it. And because I didn't publish this markup, I can just simply go in and delete it. If I had published the markup, then I would need to archive it. So it's a little bit different. In this case, it would just delete it. Here, I'll show you. I'll go ahead and archive. I'll go ahead and publish it. So you can kind of see. And now you'll see I have an archive option instead of the delete option. The only difference is it keeps track of it within the project. You can always go back and see what has been archived at any point in time. Okay. So I can look at my issues. I can see that it's closed. I can look at my markup. Right now they're all archived, but if I select show archived as well, it'll come back. All right, and then we also have transmittals. Transmittals allow us to bundle up a group of files and send them as a zip file or as a notification of a zip file to another member. So in this case, if I click on this transmittal, I have both the architectural and structural files bundled together, and Brett can now download these. Now, those individuals that are either project admin or recipients of the transmittal can see these. If you are not a recipient of a transmittal or a project admin, you won't see these transmittals when you click on this tab. Okay. To create a transmittal, we can simply right-click on a file. Oops, sorry. Either click on the little drop arrows here and say create a transmittal. And we can put in a recipient. I'll go ahead and put in, I'll put in Brett again. He'll appreciate that. And what permissions can everybody see everybody else? In this case, it's just Brett, so I'm not going to worry about that. And maybe I want to add a couple more documents. Maybe we've just got the electrical file in, so I want to go ahead and do a benchmark. These are the initial files from my architecture, my electrical, and my structure. So I can add in more to that. And we'll say, our initial models, say create, and it creates a transmittal for me that I can come back into transmittals now, and I can, oh, I probably should have renamed that, and I can quickly go to that transmittal and download those files as a zip file. So at different benchmarks that you might have, you can create a zip file and share that within the project. Now this is for that particular version. So if we go back and take a look at that, you'll see there's different versions for each one of these. Each transmittal saves those files at that version. Another option we have is reviews. There's a review and approval workflow available in document management as well. So I created a review, and I gave it as a next action to myself or Brett to review, and then we can approve it. So the project admin creates a review and approval template that says who can initiate a review, who can be a reviewer, and who can be an approver. At each step of the way, the individual next in the string will get an email notifying them that they're up on the review process. If I say I want to start the review, I can start that review. I can add comments. I can look at the file, whatever I might need to review each one of those. I can put issues on it, markups, as well as comments. And then if I'm comfortable with the way where I'm at, I can say I want to release that task if I want to send it to somebody else, or I could say submit for review. And it will go to the next person in line. Next person in line, who's that going to be? These are the two people who have been set up as reviewers. So I'm going to go ahead and put both of us down, and I'll show you the email that I get. I want to notify somebody else who maybe is not a reviewer, but to let them know that the review process is in progress. I can do that. And I'll just go ahead and say send. I'm not going to bother with a note. And emails are pretty quick. Let me see if that's come in yet. Not quite yet. I'll come back and show you as soon as it does. Okay. And then back to our folders. So those are the key features within document management. Viewing your models, marking them up, creating issues, bundling up files for a transmittal, and then a review and approval work space where you can actually have an organized review and sign-off process that is tracked within BIM 360, in which we can go back and at any point in time see the process, where in the process that is. So I initiate it, I approved it, now an email notification was sent, and I'm waiting for that final review. So here's the initial review, and now it's waiting for the approver to give a final review. So here is the email that I received from Autodesk. It's ready for its final review. Next action by either Brett or myself. And I can click on this to go straight back into Docs to the reviewer. So you either can go from your email, or you can simply come back up to Document Management Review and do the same thing. All right, we move along here. Speed this up just a little bit. All right, so if you're working in Revit, we need to get those Revit models into the cloud. So let's pop over to Revit. And you'll see on my Revit dashboard here, I have this plumbing file that has no symbols off to the far left. The next one, my structure file, has a little box and a cloud. And then down here, I have an electrical file that is got a cloud but no box. These all tell me a little bit about that file. This is a local file, is not in the cloud, and it does not have work sharing enabled. My structural file is in my cloud, in my project, Quick Start 4, and it has work sharing enabled. So the blue text at the top up here says Work Shared Cloud. I also know that by this box symbol. Whereas my electrical file, even though it is stored in my Quick Start 4 cloud project, it is not a work shared model. It is just a simple cloud model. Okay. I can also go to Autodesk Docs here, much like we did in Autocad, and I can navigate to a project, and I can go from my project folders, and I can navigate down to the folder that I want to view. Now, if you can navigate to folders and you don't see an Autocad a Revit file there, that means that you have typically will mean that you have the wrong version of Revit open to access that cloud model. If this cloud model was last saved in 2021 and I'm in 2022, I would not be able to see that. You have to be in the same version. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and go back to my recent files. I'm going to open up my plumbing file to show you how you would get this file up into the cloud to work on. So under the Collaborate tab, we have initially a Collaborate button. Once a model has been collaborated in BIM 360 or Autodesk Docs, this button goes away. So you can quickly tell if a file is been opened and is already located in the cloud because this should not be here. The other key features when you're working with the cloud are publish settings and manage cloud model. The first time we click on the Collaborate button, it is only going to send up the 3D default model that we have in our project. So this guy right here. If we want to control what is actually published up to BIM 360 Docs or Autodesk Docs, then we would come up to Publish Settings, and much like printing, we would come through and say, what views would we like to have actually published along with that 3D model to the cloud? So I don't have any sheets right now. I'm just going to stick with some views. I'll just say that's fine. And let's go ahead and get that started up in the cloud. So I'll say, okay. I want to navigate to my project. That's right. And then drill down into my folder. Now again, I can see all the folders because I'm the project admin. If you are a project member, you will likely only see the folders that you are a team member of. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And it's going to upload that to the cloud, publishing out the views that we have defined here. If you don't define those views, you will get a 3D model. You can always go back and republish it with the managed cloud models. All right, while that's updating there, give it a second here. So while that's updating, let's go over here And let's take a look at our architectural file. As I mentioned before, we can use that compare tool. So I was going to take some time to make a change in the architectural model, but it's getting a little bit late. So I'm just going to do a compare on a couple of older versions. We can compare 3D models as well. So I'm going to come back here a couple of versions to compare so you can kind of see. Oops. Scroll down here a little bit. I'm going to compare the same views, but a couple of versions apart here. When you're comparing Revit models and versions of Revit models, it will bring up a list of the changes, and you can filter through these. So if we just want to see what's been added, we can turn off anything that was removed or modified. And I can quickly see what was added in the last few versions. If I want to pick on one of these, I can see what changed. Basically, this was added in because we've got add set. I can look at properties of this item as well. So if I wanted to also see the properties, I can see the name of it. I can see its base offset, top offset. But never having the application, I can get a lot of information about the model just within the viewer. The properties are available regardless if you're in compare or not. If I wanted to see the items that were modified, now I can pick on the modifies, and I can actually see what changed. So this case here, it's the Omni class change, so there's nothing visual to see. If this column had moved, it would actually show me its previous location and its current location. Exit compare here. Let's go back and see how our plumbing file is coming along here. You'll see our plumbing file is updating. Now you'll notice it's version 2. It's version 2 because it assumes that the original file on your desktop is version 1. So this automatically goes to version 2. So it's still updating there. So we'll go ahead and move on to model coordinate. There we go. So it's done. Let's see if it'll pop up here quickly. Okay, so we've got our model here. Now, normally we would go ahead and have our architectural model already linked in at this stage of the game, but it's a good idea when you're first collaborating to not have any linked files. So in this case, I detached it beforehand. Let's quickly go back over to Revit and talk a little bit about linking. When we're in Revit and we're working with links, there's a couple of different workflows, and I mentioned it just briefly in the PowerPoint. When a project is set up, the project admin will let you know which linking process you're going to use. So we've got a couple of different ones. So I'm in plumbing. I could have what we call direct linking or live linking, and I might have access to the architectural team's folder, and I could link straight in from there. Every time the architect updates their Revit model, my link is going to update. So with busy project, my link can be updating all the time. The other option is that the architect, they'll have a designated person on their team that will say, okay, we're ready to share our model for linking. When they create what we call a package, it puts it in the shared folder. So as the plumbing team, I could go to the shared folder and I could get the architectural file. This file is only going to update when the architectural team is ready to share their latest model. However, for the plumbing folks, it's going to automatically update their linked file whenever the architectural team shares a new model. The last option is what we call consuming. And the consuming allows for the, let me pick on a different folder here so you can kind of see. Well, I won't say it from here, that's all right. The consuming allows you to go into your folder to see the consumed folder, and you can pull from there. That consumed folder gets populated when someone from your team goes in and looks at the shared model and says, yes, we want to consume it, and it will place it into your folder. The nice benefit with that is that when you're working in your team's folder, you don't have to go out of it looking for models, and it will automatically update only when someone on your team designates that you're ready to consume it. So direct link, you can, oops, sorry, I lost myself here. There's my consume folder. So the consume folder would then have that architectural file. So we have three options: architectural live link, shared link, or working within your own team and just navigating to the consumed folder. All right. In this case, I haven't put anything yet in the consumed folder, so we will go to the shared folder and we will bring in that architectural model. Always want to do our origin to origin. And if you want more information on linking, let us know. I can send you some documentation on that. All right, so now we have our link model. This is a coordination view, so it's showing the architectural model as well as our plumbing on the inside there. All right, so just have a couple minutes. Let me pop over to model coordination. So model coordination is the module that was added into BIM 360 Design and BIM Collaboration Pro. This allows you to point to a folder, in this case the shared folder, look at all of the files that are in, all the 3D models that are in the shared folder, and visualize the clashes. So these are all the models currently in my shared folder. And these are all the clashes that it found between all of those models. Now, some of these may be non-clashes that we'll take a look at here. And then I can save any of the views that I want to from here, give them a name, and I can quickly get back to them here. And again, it swapped me out to a different project. We'll go over here. Okay, so I can create kind of named views so I can quickly get back to those groups. So let's just run through that real quick. So under models, maybe I want to take a look at the ground level of my mechanical and the ground level of my structure and just view those together. I can see over here that there's 457 issues there and 153 here, but that's total amongst all the views. I just want to see what comes up between these two. So I'll hit view. And I can quickly come in and take a look at this, these two views together. Now, nothing's highlighted. Right now, it's just showing me the views. If I wanted to save this group of views, I can hit the Save View button, and I can create a new view set. I'm going to hold off on that for just a minute, and I'll do that at the end. So I want to see the clashes. So over here, we have clashes. I can rotate that up a little bit, and I can kind of start to see I've got some things highlighted here and some items highlighted here. Down here, I can take a look at how are they grouped together. So primary is my mechanical, secondary is structure. Right now, it's by object. And if I scroll down here, let's make this a little bigger. If I scroll down here, I can see I've got a set of pipes over here. I've also got another set. It's kind of zooming back out again. So these are just pipe penetrations through the slab that really aren't a clash issue. So let me see everything it finds here. So found 12 clashes. These are all pipes that are penetrating. This is something else. So let's scroll down. Let's see what that is. Oh, it's a shower stall. Okay, I'm going to remove that one. And I'm just going to put these as non-issues. So I'm going to say not an issue, and I can say why. I'm just going to put in here pipe through slab. And then we can select a reason, the valid penetration. Okay, I could put a note in there if I want as well. Say okay. So those clashes have now been removed. They've been grouped together and stored as a non-issue. We can track those. We can go back to those at any point in time. We can see who created those. Now for the shower stall here, let's take a closer look at this and see what's going on. If I take a look and zoom in here a little bit, I can see that it's actually penetrating the slab. That might be an issue for one. There's nothing under here supporting it. That could be another issue. Maybe the floor is over here and I just can't really see what's going on. So let me come back up here to my model. And I'm going to add in the architectural model. So let's add in the ground floor of the architectural model and bring that in for a little bit better view. And let's go back to our clashes. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and say go ahead and just clash that structural model again. I don't want the architectural model to be clashed again. I just want to be able to see it in context. So if I take a look in here, I still don't see a floor over there. So I definitely need to go back and at least take a look at what's going on with that shower. So I can go ahead and pick on that one. And this one I'm going to go ahead and make an issue. I'm going to put it as a coordination clash. That's fine. It's open. This is the title. I could add more to that if I wanted. You'll see it actually gives you the information so you could find that quickly in Revit. I'll assign it to me. Oh, I need to put a push pin as to where that issue is. I'll assign it to me. We'll go ahead and pick tomorrow as the deadline. And then I can create that issue. You could add more to the description. I'll just go ahead and for time, I'm going to go ahead and just click on that. You'll see here, this is what new that I mentioned. You can put a tolerance in if there's supposed to be a tolerance between items, but in this case, we're not going to worry about that. So now I can take a quick look and I can see what my issues are that are currently been created. Okay. You can also set a filter in here if you want. If you get a lot of issues, you can also sort them if you get a lot of issues that way as well. Now back over here under my models, I had those 3 models brought in. Maybe I want to save this view so I could quickly get back to seeing all 3 of these and continue maybe clashing with that architectural model. I can hit Save View, and I can just put in here arch, let's say structure. Yeah. And this is the piping. Okay, let's give it a name. It's private just to me. And then we can save that view. Last but not least, in the newer versions of Revit, there was an Issues tab that we can quickly see what issues. It may not have had time to refresh yet. Oh, this is not our architectural file. Hang on a second. Running a little long here, so I'm going a little too fast. Let me close that out real quick. The new Issues tab will allow us to be able to see the issue while we are in Revit, which is a huge help. And let me go to architectural model, see if I had time to sync. If not, you'll get the idea. So under the issues, as I open up my model, I can see all of the issues that are in here. So it hasn't quite updated yet, but you'll see I've got a couple of issues already set up that I can go in and take a look at. Okay. So it's been quite handy. It'll take you to the view, show you the issues, so that you can address them. And because it has in there our element ID numbers, we can quickly search for those within Revit. Just going to take it a minute because I didn't already have that model loaded up. Okay, so I've got one here where I've got an issue where we're going to need to join some materials. That's fun. So just a kind of a quick look at what you can do there with the new issues option as well. All right, I know we ran through that quickly and I don't have a lot of time for questions, but let me take a look real quick before we get out. So we had a question about the local cache to free up space. I'd probably need to get a little closer information on that, Jack. There are some times where if something gets closed out and it's not properly closed out, it can damage the cache. And there is a workflow to clear out the cache. And the other thing too, make sure you've got your temp folder emptied out so you've got plenty of room for creating a full cache. So I can take a look at that a little bit closer when we get done and see if we can touch base with you. It looks like that was the only question on there. So if there aren't any other questions, I will hand it back to Ashley to wrap up.
Okay, well, thank you, Alice, for the presentation. Thank you all for attending. If you think of additional questions later, you can simply reply to that confirmation or reminder email you receive from GoToWebinar. We can get those to Alice or your sales rep to get your questions answered. Once again, there will be a short survey pop up as we close down, and if you want that AIA continuing education credit, you can leave your AIA number in question number 4 of the survey. Also, a reminder that you will receive an email tomorrow, which will contain a link for the recording from today's presentation. And I don't see anything else in the question panel, so we will go ahead and close for the day, but thank you for attending and have a great day, everybody.